What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the No Hedging Podcast. I am your host, Ty the Jet Franklin, and we are back with another episode of the Division Talk series, man. We have already covered the NFC. Now we're going to kick off the AFC, talking about the AFC North, all right? So if you haven't already seen the NFC videos on the Division Talk, make sure you go back, check those out. Before we jump into the AFC North, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so you can get notified of more videos, man. We are coming with the heat this season, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can stay in touch and stay in the loop of what's going on. Without further ado, let's talk about the AFC North, all right? So in my opinion of the AFC North, I believe the AFC North is probably the most toughest division in the NFL right now. Granted, the teams and the quarterback play that they have in that division. All right. Now we're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Cleveland Browns, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Cincinnati Bengals. All right. And those quarterbacks, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Kenny Pickett, Deshaun Watson, that is tough, man. Along with those rosters that they have, all of these rosters are loaded with talent from top to bottom. I believe that this division is going to be tough. It's going to be tough. With how tough this division is, you can go ahead and say it wouldn't be crazy to say that the winner of this division can take their team to the Super Bowl and possibly win the Super Bowl. That's how tough this division is, because they will be battle tested throughout the season. All right. And everybody knows the AFC North is one of those divisions that's hard, it's physical. It's, you got the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Baltimore Ravens, you know what I'm saying, going at it. These rivalries are nuts, and it's always fun to watch. That being said, the schedule is not too bad. They play the NFC West, and they also play the AFC South. So it's a mixture of, good and bad, easy and, hard teams that they're going to be playing. Everybody in this division has a shot to go to the playoffs. I'm not going to say everybody has a shot to take that number one seed in the division and get that division title, but all these teams have an opportunity to stamp themselves to go to the playoffs. Let's get started with who I believe is going to finish last in the division. This one was hard for me to decide, and the reason why it was hard for me to decide was because all of these teams are so good, so talented, so stacked. But I'm going to go ahead and keep the Cleveland Browns in the basement. All right. Now, we know Deshaun Watson, before he got suspended and before, he was that guy in Houston. You know what I mean? But we're talking about the Cleveland Browns here. Last season, Deshaun, he didn't play too well. It was his, he was getting his feet wet. He came off of, 2 years of not playing football, right? A year and a half, 2 years of not playing football. So, he had to get his feet wet, get back acclimated with the game, with the speed of the game, all those different things. I don't believe that, this will be the season that he bounces back, right? Because even though they have talent, they have Deshaun Watson, speaking of him, they have Nick Chubb, they have Amari Cooper, they have Myles Garrett, right? But starting out, their schedule is kind of tough. Their first game, they're facing the Bengals, right? They come out facing the Bengals. Look at it. Listen to this stretch. You got the Bengals, the Steelers, the Titans, the Ravens, and the 49ers. They can easily go 1-5 or 2-3, during that stretch before they get to the Colts. So starting out for them is going to be a battle, and it's going to be a fight. And, me personally, in my opinion, the only team I see them beating in this stretch would possibly be, I can see them going 2-3 during this stretch. They're going to probably beat the Steelers, and they might beat the Titans. But I don't see them beating the Bengals. I don't see them beating the Ravens, and I don't see them beating the 49ers. So with that being said, it's going to be a little bit difficult for them with that type of start that they have. They're going to start off 2-3, maybe 1-4, who knows? But that's not going to be easy for them to get that division title. You have to have a good start in order to win that division. So with that being said, I see the Cleveland Browns finishing 4th in the division. Now let's move along to the team that's going to finish 3rd in the division. I am thinking that the Pittsburgh Steelers will finish 3rd in the division this season. All right. Now this team is loaded with talent. All right. They brought in some pieces. They are loaded with talent. All right. You got Kenny Pickett, which is he's a solid quarterback. I think he will be their guy, their franchise guy, obviously with some improvements and things like that. Last season, he didn't play too bad, right? He played somewhat average for like a backup quarterback role, right? So I think he is their guy, obviously with a little bit more development. We're going to see him start to improve over the course of the season. Might be the successor to Ben Roethlisberger. I see him being that type of player for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, what I like about Kenny Pickett, he's mobile. He knows how to make the right decisions. He throws the ball accurately, right? Him and George Pickens, that connection is crazy. They got Deontay Johnson. They got Najee Harris. So they still going to have that run game. They have options. They have Pat Freiermuth, their tight end. Everybody in Pittsburgh loves Pat, right? On the defensive side, they brought in some pieces, right? Outside of already having Cam Hayward, which is probably going to be a Hall of Famer. In the anchor of that defense, you have TJ Watt, which is probably going to be a Hall of Famer on that defense, rushing the passer as long as he stays healthy. Then you have Quan Alexander they brought in. Then they brought in Pat Peterson, all right? And then on top of that, they still have Minkah Fitzpatrick. So this team is loaded with talent. And I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers might be one of those dark horse teams to make the playoffs. They might make the playoffs. They might sneak in and get that wild card slot, even though the AFC is so loaded and so jam-packed. But 3 teams could potentially come out of this division and go to the playoffs. We just never know. But with that amount of talent that they have, you can't count them out. You know what I'm saying? And even last season, they went 9-8, right? So, I mean, that's not too bad. 9-8 with the rookie quarterback. It's a good chance that the Pittsburgh Steelers can make the playoffs this year. It's a good chance. You know what I mean? So I am bullish on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I am riding high with Pittsburgh. I have confidence in Pittsburgh. Obviously we have to watch the quarterback position a little bit more, but I like Pittsburgh as one of those teams that, they start catching waves as the season goes on. And if we look at their schedule starting out, they start out with the 49ers. They open against the 49ers, which is probably going to be a loss. They got the Browns, which is probably going to be a win. They got the Raiders, which is probably going to be a win. They have the Texans, which is probably going to be a win. And they have the Ravens, which it can probably go either way. Who knows? And then also they have the Rams. So, I mean, first 5 games, you're looking at probably 3-2, right? If everything goes well, they could lose to the 49ers and they can lose to the Ravens. So they can go 3-2 or 2-3 starting out, but I see them probably starting the season 3-2 in those first 5 games as the season starts to kick off. Now let's move right along to the team that is going to finish number 2 in the division, and this is my thoughts. I think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to finish 2nd in the division. There's a lot of question on the Joe Burrow, calf injury. Apparently, he's going to be good to go for week 1. But outside of that, he's had an injury history. You know what I'm saying? His first season, he didn't finish the whole season because he had an injury then. Looks like he got another injury, about a month or so ago in camp. And with that, I can't put my eggs in that basket of him taking that division title this year. You know what I mean? Especially with other teams in the division increasing with talent. They lost the safety. They made some changes on the defensive side of the ball. But offensively, they still got who they have, right? They still have Joe Mixon. They still have Jamar Chase. They still have T. Higgins. They still have Tyler Boyd, right? So they were able to hold that offense together. But I think their defense is probably going to lack a little bit. And then also, like I said, we have to keep an eye on Joe Burrow's health, right? So he pulled that calf muscle without anybody touching him. So that's what I'm going to be paying attention to. I think that there might be a chance that he may miss a few games during this season. Hopefully not. I don't wish that on anybody, but I see that there's a chance that he might. Their schedule start now isn't too bad. Their first 5 games, they have the Browns, the Ravens, the Rams, the Titans, and the Cardinals, right? So I can see them easily. Going 4-1. Easily going 4-1. I'm looking at 3-2 or 4-1 as a start out for the Cincinnati Bengals. They probably lose to the Ravens, and they'll probably lose to the Browns. With that being said, I got the Cincinnati Bengals finishing second in the AFC North. And last but not least, the Baltimore Ravens, all right? And this is no surprise. This is no surprise at all. Lamar Jackson, he got paid. He got his money. This team has brought in a new offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, which was the coordinator down there at UGA. Pass-heavy offense, right? You drafted Zay Flowers first round. You bring in OBJ. Rashad Bateman's healthy. You got Mark Andrews, one of the top tight ends in the NFL, probably the second best tight end in the NFL, right? Then you have your defense, Marlon Humphreys. He's injured right now, banged up, but you got Marlon Humphreys, Roquan Smith. This is the Ravens we're talking about. This is the Baltimore Ravens we're talking about, right? This team right here is going to be the team that's going to win the division. They're going to get that NFC North title. There's no doubt about it. I'm so confident on them. I am so bullish on the Ravens. I expect the Ravens to have probably the best record in the AFC. Let's look at their schedule. And this is what's going to make you think and believe that. Look at the schedule. They open up with the Texans. That's a W. Then they play the Bengals. That can go either way, but that's a 50-50, so I'm going to go ahead and say that's a W. Then they play the Colts. That's a W. Then they play the Browns. I'm going to give them that W. And they play the Steelers. So the first 5 games, the only tough part about it, 3 of those 5 are divisional games. But outside of that, they got 2 easy ones, and then the rest of them are 50-50. So I can see the Ravens potentially going 4-1 to start the season, right? I can see them going 4-1 to start the season. And with 4-1, when you start the season off hot like that, then you have an opportunity to go ahead and get that division crown, right? So, in my opinion, I'm very bullish on the Ravens. I like the Ravens. I like the Ravens to win the AFC North. I know a lot of people are thinking the Bengals are the favorite, but I like the Ravens. They brought in some talent. They're changing the way they're doing their business over there. They paid Lamar. Lamar's happy. They got J.K. Dobbins. Forgot about him, running back, right? So they have a lot of talent over there as usual. I think Lamar is going to have a better season throwing the ball because he has more targets to throw it to with the additions of OBJ and Zay Flowers. Rashad Bateman's coming back. Speedster down the field. And obviously, you have his favorite target, Mark Andrews, right? Apparently, Zay Flowers been killing it in camp. He's that dude. So I like the Ravens to go ahead and get this division title, and we'll see from there. You know what I mean? I think they're going to be one of the top 3 teams in the AFC. And that's a wrap for this episode of the No Hedging Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and be on the lookout for the next division, the AFC South. All right, man. So you guys stay tuned. See you on the next one. We out.